Okay, y'all, we're just gonna do a quick little run into town and then come back home and talk about carbs, but cardio's first. Let's do this. Whew. 2 miles done. Let's see what the stats were like. 22 minutes, 2.2 on mile. Average pace 10 minutes a mile. Pretty good. Okay, before we get into video, what I wanted to do was basically, instead of just talking about it myself based on my own knowledge, I'm going to use a tool called Perplexity AI. And we're going to just see what this AI tool says. And basically what they do is go into academic research papers and all this and that, and basically like help us find the answers. So let's do it. Let's ask Perplexity, can I lose weight while eating carbs? Let's see what she says. Basically, she's saying, yeah, you can lose weight while eating carbs. Key is to focus on consuming more whole carbohydrates such as vegetables, beans, potatoes, whole grains, eating less refined carbs, or eating refined carbs less frequently. Research suggests that reducing carb intake may help with weight loss for some people, but it's important to replace the carbs with other quality food. What does the research say about removing carbs for weight loss? So, while low carbs may result in initial weight loss, the long-term effectiveness and sustainability of such diets for weight loss is still a topic for debate. Interesting. Okay, so we asked Perplexity to look at some academic research papers. I have some thoughts, but why don't we actually go make my food that has carbs that has helped me lose this weight, and I'll share a little bit more about my experience. All right, 1 second. I am going to be making my everyday breakfast thing and kind of just talking to you guys about what I think the article was talking about and why I tend to agree. So it's saying that basically, while it's obviously it works in the short term to not eat carbs, in the long term, it's questionable if it's really something you can do for a long time and keep the weight off. And I would say that really tracks for me in my experience. So my weight loss journey, like you guys know, has been really long. Before I go there, I'm doing egg whites. I'm gonna do basically 300 grams of egg whites, and then make a steamed egg white dish. I'm gonna do a little bit of fish sauce, some onion and garlic powder, salt, and I'm just gonna microwave it for a few minutes, and then we'll have that. And then I'm gonna make my protein smoothie. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Like you guys know about my weight loss, this is not my first rodeo, not by any means. But the first time I did it, I actually did do the keto diet. Oh God, I turned on this thing. The first diet I ever tried was the keto diet. And I'll say it definitely worked. I don't remember exactly how much weight I lost or whatever, but it definitely worked. But over the long term, and I think most of my diets have been very, I would say, low carb. It's really not about whether or not it works, because it definitely works. You're gonna lose weight really fast. You know, you might get some other benefits, I guess, but it's really unsustainable in the long term to not eat carbs, especially, and I think that's true like of any culture. I was just gonna say like, especially for Asian, but especially in any culture, like carbs are just a part of almost like our evolution as a species. And so to cut it out completely is really tough. I'm gonna grab some water. And so many things, you know, in life revolve around carbs, like celebrations and all this and that. And so I really do think it's actually setting yourself up for failure if you start your weight loss journey by doing strictly a carb-less kind of diet. And so, because like, I don't know about you guys, for me, I never want to have to lose weight again. And that's been kind of my rallying cry, my anthem for my whole journey. And how do you make something long-term and sustainable? You have to make it something that you can do every day, and it's not so painful, right? Like, and the way I explain pain is like, it's really about cravings, right? If you're having insane cravings for stuff, and you know, you feel like you can't partake in something, or you're constantly like refraining from eating things that you like, that just makes everything harder than it needs to be, honestly. Because at the end of the day, what we're doing here is we're just trying to do a calorie deficit. We have to eat less than our body burns, and hopefully burn some more on top of that, right? And maintain that over a long period of time. And I do think obviously the body responds to different types of macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat. But at the end of the day, for weight loss, it comes down to the calorie deficit. So that's what I've been thinking a lot about, because I'll be really honest, for me initially, even with my coach, it was really hard for me to buy into the fact that I could eat carbs. Like we had a lot of conversations about it. For me, like a lot of you guys, I just didn't believe you could lose weight and not have carbs. But I should have mentioned this at the beginning. I am now officially 18 pounds down as of this morning. So I think that's pretty great. We're not even close to our goal, but we're definitely getting closer. I like to scrunch up the kale before I put in my smoothie. There's just save room in this little tiny cup. The Beast blender is good, but it's so small. I'm gonna scrunch this up. Yeah, and I think for me, going back to my point about this being my last diet, I really want to do this for the long term, right? And the way to do it for the long term is to incorporate the things you want to be eating in the long term. Do I want to be eating fried rice after I lose the weight and not feel like so nervous that anytime I eat fried rice? Yes. Do I want to, eat noodles and pasta? Yes. So how do I do that? I really just have to set myself up to feel comfortable eating those things. And I think that's really what it comes down to is, can you make this sustainable? Can you make this a long-term thing? And if not, well, unfortunately, oftentimes the weight comes back. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than losing weight, getting to a physique that you like, and then gaining the weight back. It's the most defeating, painful feeling in the world, having been there myself. And so how do we avoid that at all costs is we make the things that we're doing much more sustainable, much more long-term. I think what the research is supporting is more about our emotional state of weight loss, right? People want results. They want, especially when you're doing something in the beginning, you want to see the scale go down, or you're not going to feel as motivated to continue on. So I think that's why the low carb thing works really well in the beginning. But after a certain point, you're going to kind of plateau, The weight loss will stop, and then you're not going to have any more tools. You're already carbless. What else are you going to cut out? More protein, more fat? And, that just makes things, I think, just even more difficult. Oh, another thing I've been doing for my steamed eggs, I've been frying up some kimchi. I think that's the reason why you can still eat carbs. And I'll go as far as to say why you should eat carbs when you're trying to lose weight. Carbs are not the enemy, y'all. Like the research says, it's in the quality and the types of carbs that you're eating that I think ultimately make the biggest difference, right? So even for me, the carbs I eat are in the form of fruit, like these frozen blueberries. They're in the form of kind of pasta, which is very simple. I wouldn't say that is the best because it's more refined. But if you can get, less refined pasta, it's great. And then stuff like beans and legumes. That's what I eat during dinner for my chili. And also have a little bit of rice. And the way that we do rice at our house is we always cook it in the rice cooker, and then we let it cool down in the fridge, and then we heat it up the next day. And I'll also look up some research, but from my knowledge, that actually reduces insulin spike, is when you let rice cool down and then you heat it up again. So that could be something y'all try as well. I'll put this in the blender. Okay, we're ready. Delicious. This is what it looks like, the smoothie. I'm gonna do a little green onion action. And then, with the smallest little pan, dump all that in here. Every little bit. I'm gonna do a little bit of soy sauce. Just like that. That looks pretty good to me. A bite. Cheers. That is why I think carbs aren't so bad. I might get flamed by the keto community, but I actually think what most people need to watch out for is fat. I know when I was doing keto, it felt kind of amazing because you could eat whatever you want as long as it wasn't carbs. Or that was the way I did it. Maybe other people do it differently, but I was just eating so much fat, like pork belly and you know, like all these sauces and avocado and all this and that. And I really feel like the hidden calories that come from fat maybe be in the way of some weight loss. Like there is so much fat in things you wouldn't imagine there to be. Again, I don't want to get flamed or dragged by the keto community, but that's something I've been like really attuned to. Anyways, how are you guys doing today? I know next week is Valentine's Day. My wife and I's tradition has always been to go to this chain restaurant. It's called Taco Mac, and to eat wings, but I think this year we might switch it up. Maybe juicy crab, but I don't know. Wash it down with some smoothie. And oh, you know what I should do? Tell you guys the nutrients of this meal. This entire meal has 555 calories for everything here, 32 grams of carbs, net carbs, 7 grams of fat, and 72 grams of protein. So this is a big hitting breakfast. I mean, yeah, it's mostly protein powder and egg whites. But I've literally eaten this meal now for 2 or 3 weeks at this point, and I'm not sick of it still. The carbs come from the blueberries, mostly. And blueberries are such a good like carb source in my opinion because they're so low in calories, but they're packed with all these other good stuff for you. And so I highly recommend doing that. I like kind of having like a very savory breakfast and then balance it out with something sweet, which is this protein shake. Really nice. I just realized this, but this will be my 15th YouTube video. I'm happy to say that as much progress as I've made on the weight loss side, I've also made a lot of progress on just the content creation side. And I was telling this to somebody the other day, but not that I've made any videos that I'm like super proud of, but I feel like I'm just starting to figure out what kind of videos I like even, and just like my taste, you know what I mean? I was actually, my coach sent me this Twitter thread and it was basically just, the gist of it is, how do you get what you want? Somebody asks, how do I make great art? Picasso responds, make 50,000 pieces. This guy says, you're kidding. Picasso says, I'm not. Picasso created more than 50,000 pieces of art. Let's just keep going. Vlogger, how do I become YouTube famous? Some Swedish guy, make 3,000 videos. PewDiePie made 3,700 videos in total. Same question, how do I get famous? How do I make a famous podcast? Make 1,400 episodes. That's describing how many episodes Joe Rogan has out there. Anyways, the point here is, how do you get good at anything? You have to put in the reps. You have to do something over and over and over again. And I think that is kind of like the most important part of all of this, which is keep going. You know, even though it feels like for me, I've been doing this for so long, if I just look at it in retrospect, today's the 10th of February, which means I've only really been doing this for 70 days, right? Really consistently. 70 days, that's nothing. That's not even a third of a year. And so when should I expect progress? When should I expect like what I'm doing is actually making a difference? If you get early indicators of success, if you start seeing results right away, that's great. I really applaud you. But even for me, I'm not expecting any results until, 6 months in, 12 months in, until 100 videos in. And so that's the mindset I take to all this. I'll take the wins as they come because that's also an important exercise, but at the same time, you're really thinking about the long term because that's the only way to keep going. Otherwise, early on, it's kind of a given that you're not going to do well. It's a given that what you put out there is going to kind of suck. If you're expecting results early on, you're going to want to give up because what you're doing sucks and you know it, everyone else knows it. I think it's that long-term view, which comes back to the point of this video, which is having a diet that has 0 carbs a good thing? In the long term, my opinion is no, because it doesn't take into account how you really want to live your life, right? So that's my diatribe on the long-term view of all this. Other interesting news, today I went on a run. The last time I went on a run was December 31st, 2023, which means it's been like a month and a half since my last run. But between then and now, I've lost a significant amount of weight, and my mile time went down by 43 seconds a mile. I didn't do anything. I didn't run in between, obviously. Nothing has changed except just my weight, and it's made a huge difference in the run. Not only did the time go down, but I felt great too. Felt like I could have run easy for a long time at even like a 9.5 minute mile pace. So that's another cool plus I really didn't expect. So yeah, y'all, I'm gonna finish up. My camera's about to overheat, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Again, do your own research, talk to your doctors. But if you enjoyed this, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'm gonna do a lot more videos about this stuff and other stuff too, hopefully. So thank you guys so much. Much love. Peace out.